I was talking to one of my top guys the other day, been crushing it all year in sales. And I asked him because I was curious, how often are you checking your expenses and keeping track of your profitability? And his response was, honestly, once the entire year. He said, and I quote, I don't check them because I don't want to get demotivated. And I realized that the more I thought about this, I realized this is what keeps so many high earners broke. So many people that are crushing it in sales. And I've talked to so many people in the last 6 months about potentially joining our mastermind or not. And it's crazy that all these people that are crushing it either have a lot of money saved or have nothing saved. And for a little bit, I could not figure out what the difference was. And I've got it. The simple mindset that keeps salespeople in survival mode, even when they're killing it on paper and on the sales report, is this exact thing. So stick around. I'm going to explain the truth behind this that nobody talks about. Number two, why this mindset is so common, and the first step out of the survival loop. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, subscribe and let's dive right in. Here's the truth about this mindset. I don't want to check my expenses because I don't want to be demotivated. Where this comes from is the guy I was talking to, he's on 50% commission. That sounds amazing, right? But after his mentors cut, his show costs, his travel, his samples, food, he's actually netting between 20 and 25%. And really, we don't know the numbers because he doesn't have any of it tracked, but this is what I projected out with him. So again, he's not tracking any of this. His mindset, this is what he told me. His mindset is, as long as I check my bank account and I'm okay to do what I need to that day, I'm just going to keep working. Can I afford this right now? Yes. Swipe. No. I'll do something else. This is survival mindset. This is paycheck to paycheck mindset. This is not financial freedom mindset. This is not building wealth mindset. And the first thing that needs to shift before somebody can get out of this cage is the belief system and the mindset that I don't want to be in survival mode anymore. I want to start building wealth. I want to start building freedom. And I just made a video about this, so you can go to my channel and find it. But this is one of the same guys that said, I think I need to do something else because I'm not making enough money. I'm not profiting enough. And it's this loop. And I hope you as a viewer, you're watching this and you're thinking, that makes sense why he would think he needs another job. Me too. It makes sense to me too. The problem is, though, that the problem is not the job. The problem will follow him to any other opportunity. So here's the first thing to know. Sales equals cash. Yes, that is true. But without proper systems involved, you'll mistake revenue for reality every single time because companies are prioritizing revenue as vanity. There are no trophies, at least in my business, for profitability. It is for revenue created. And so these are either internal systems that you have to start prioritizing or getting in a group or friend circle or mastermind or something where they're talking about other things besides revenue, finding a community where the things that are prioritized is not just pumping sales, but it's maybe health or maybe it's wealth or maybe it's savings or maybe it's just anything besides the revenue metrics, because that is what the company and those circles will prioritize 10 out of 10 times. And it's not their fault. That's the point. Why is this mindset so common and how do we get out of it? Why is it so common? Well, if you're a high performer, and I like to think of myself as a high performer. So if I'm you, if you're me, right? My mindset is always going to, how do I keep moving forward? What's next? What's next? I'm like moving too fast most of the time, but like, how do I just continue to keep this momentum going? You are addicted to forward motion. So you think, okay, if I just keep selling, I'm going to be fine. If I just keep working, I'm going to be fine. If I work harder, I'm going to be fine. And then people get on stage and they say, I worked my tail off this year and you just have to work harder. But I want to pose the question, at what point does that stop? At what point can you not work harder anymore? Because it's such a cliche saying, work smarter, not harder. But at what point do you face the reality that if you don't know what you're keeping, you can't make smart business decisions? You're building a career with no foundation and no standards. Here's what I told someone today. We were on the phone talking about profitability and talking about which events he's going to continue to work as he progresses in his career. And I said to him, something you could do and should do. He just got married and he's in this season where he doesn't prioritize the trophies anymore, but he's really talented and really good, but he does prioritize that time with family and future family. And I said, figuring out what dollar amount that you would put on time with your wife, and then every opportunity that comes that comes on your desk, judging, okay, how much would I make per hour? If my number is $200 an hour, is how much that time with Anna is worth. If something doesn't hit that minimum benchmark, that's just not an opportunity to pursue. So that framework, though, can be used in any situation. I see so many grinders that are prioritizing just continuing to move the ball forward, which is a good thing in theory. Do not stop and actually figure out, okay, which opportunities are worth my time? Which opportunities are worth prioritizing over other opportunities or just other ways to make money, even in the same job? Which deals are worth it to pursue? Which customers, which events, which shows? Like, if you're good at sales, you can figure out a way to make your sales more profitable. I am sure of it, as long as you have awareness that that matters. I believe that when you avoid to look at your own financials, your own expenses, your own profitability, there's a fear that you're going to find something that's going to hurt your momentum. And I faced this for a long time. I ran one of the top offices in my company for years. And at the same time, it was one of the least efficient offices, I think, in the company. It had to have been, because the amount of pure profit that I was taking home financially just didn't make a lot of sense. And I talked to other mentors and they'd be like, yeah, it should be like double. But what I was prioritizing was more, move forward. And there wasn't anybody helping me figure out what business is worth creating and what business would it make more sense to just either not create it and spend that time with people who matter, like family or at the gym or whatever, or how could I more efficiently create sales, which then creates profit, et cetera, et cetera. So I would avoid looking at these things because I didn't want to see it. I think this was subconscious. I just wanted to keep moving. I think choosing short-term feel good and feel like things are going well over long-term happiness, long-term fulfillment, and long-term freedom is a massive mistake that a lot of high quality salespeople and high performing salespeople are making on a daily basis. You don't need a raise. I don't think you need a new job. I really don't think you need a new company. I think you need a reconciliation with yourself about what you're prioritizing and why, and really getting clear on that. So step 3, how do you get out? Because this is what I'm actually going to spend more time on. And I want to go through this. If you're taking notes on this video, great. How do you get out of the survival loop? What do you do when you finally realize, I'm making a lot of sales. I should be making good money, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. You do what 99% of high performers refuse to do. You look truth in the face. Step 1, face the numbers. You don't need another commission check to feel better. You need to look at all of your numbers and start to take back control over them. Here's how you do it. Facing your numbers. Last 90 days. You can either go to Monarch Money, set up an account, and face your last 90 days of transactions. I'll put my referral link in the description below. You save a bunch of money. I get like $50, but you could do that. Or you could go to all your credit cards and whatever and print out every single statement. I think just setting a Monarch Money, putting all your cards and information in, and then going from there is much simpler. But going through all your transactions from the past 90 days, and I mean everything, cash, Venmo, Cash App, Stripe, checking, all the credit cards, everything, gift cards, commission charges, whatever you use, going through them, creating awareness and creating 3 buckets within those expenses. First category would be mandatory: rent, utilities, groceries, subscriptions you actually use. These are things that I'd say, hey, I can't cut this out. Step 2, the second thing is marking off all of the lifestyle expenses: meals out, upgrades, flex spending, ego buys. And honestly, for a lot of people, these aren't the problem. The problem is actually in the third category, which is avoidable expenses. And when I say avoidable, I'm talking mostly about business expenses. These are things like that extra sample. These are things like the 5 polos or that extra monitor, the interest, that loan payback, the random stuff you got because you're like, this will help me make more money, but then it never actually does. This is where I see a lot of people crushing their profitability. So avoidable business expenses, but also avoidable life expenses as well. Missing payments, so you get an overdraft, that kind of stuff. What you're looking for when you do this is you're trying to figure out how much of your income is actually getting converted to profit and how much is quietly bleeding out of the accounts. This is the part nobody wants to do. I don't know how many people watching this video are actually going to do this, but if you go through your last 90 days of expenses, all of them, You're going to learn a lot about yourself, your business, and what's going on with your mind. By the way, enrollment is closed right now, so this is not a commercial by any means, but in our mastermind, we call this the free method. And this is the F step. We build the foundation. We figure out why is it not working yet? We maximize the earning vehicle, and then we optimize the earning vehicle. And we don't get into any type of investments, Airbnb, assets, none of that until we figure out why are you not rich yet? That is step one. And you can do it on your own. If you want help, follow at Unlock with Alex on Instagram. And I post every day more bite-sized stuff like this that'll help you get rich faster. And more than anything, just become free. All right. So step one, creating awareness. Step two, build a simple margin tracker. Now that you've faced the numbers, here's where the power really starts. Your life changes when you stop asking, how much did I make? And you start asking, how much did I keep? And you start prioritizing that. It gets addicting. So a basic margin tracker would be income minus expenses equals margin. Track that weekly, and not just for taxes and accounting, because if you do all of this on a daily, weekly basis, you won't spend a week and a half in April trying to figure this out. But if you are keeping up with your expenses on a daily basis, again, Monarch Money is the best tool that I've ever found for this. And I'm putting my referral in the description below, not for me to get my $50, but for you to just get started. And I think you save 50% of the year. They don't sponsor me, but they should. But you can start seeing for peace of mind, for power in decision making, where that margin actually is. This is your scoreboard for freedom. You already have a money-making machine. Now you need a margin-creating machine. And again, that's foundational. That's the first step. Okay. And then once you start creating awareness, step three is tracking on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. I'm about to show you the exact system that I used to break free when I was 20 years old that helped me get ahead and get my first house. This is the exact system we use with all of the people in our mastermind. And I'm going to just show it to you so you can recreate it for yourself. All right. So right here, this is your financial scoreboard. This is all just pretend numbers put in here, but it's tab number one, net worth tracker. If you want to get rich, you have to start really understanding what are the assets that you have? So things like bank account, Venmo, gift card, that's all asset. A house, a car, that's asset. Okay. Your net worth is asset minus liability. So liabilities would be loans, credit cards. Pretty much it. That's the simplest way I could say it. But as you can see right here, why is real estate investing so powerful? Now we're missing the loan, but a house is worth $232,000 minus the liabilities, whatever. Net worth is $200K. So one of the guys in our group, awesome sales guy, crushing it, won a big trophy a couple years ago. We started working together last fall and we optimized his sales engine. Then we figured out where all the money was and what was going on. Then we saw, okay, he does have this nest egg. Boom, he bought a house. He has renters paying him rent every month. So that covers his mortgage and some extra. So he lives in this house for free, has renters that pay his mortgage and put money in his pocket. And that house has gone up in value $60,000 since January. So by buying that, his net worth has gone up $60,000, which means you could say this is more like middle class or poor mindset, but you could say he made 60 grand. But it's playing this bigger game where the scoreboard is net worth and then the scoreboard is monthly cash flow every month in and out. So second tab on here, expense tracking. This is how I do it, making sure money coming in every month, keeping track of all the money coming in and then all the money going out. Monarch is one place to use to systemize everything, but then getting it in one spot. For me, this tab on this spreadsheet has been my go-to for over 5 years. And then last thing is percentage-based budgeting. That's a whole nother video. And again, there are levels to this. I don't want anybody to watch this and get confused or be like, oh my gosh, I can't do all that. And it's one step at a time. Look, at the end of the day, most reps, they stay stuck in hustle mode because they never upgrade their identity. They choose to stay grinders instead of becoming builders. Builders of wealth, builders of freedom, builders of their family. At some point, a pivot has to be made. Look, you've already figured out how to earn. Congratulations, you're really good at it, especially if you're watching this video. I'm sure you are. And that is the hard part. Congrats, you got it. The next level, it's not about earning. It's about keeping and then growing and then using that freedom from growing assets that spit money, monthly cash flow to buy back freedom. And that's what this channel is all about. That's what my book is all about. Go to thedreamslist.com if you want to get a copy of my book. Follow me at Unlock with Alex on Instagram. My whole mission is I believe in a world where everyone has a dreams list. But more than anything, I just believe in a world where people have freedom. Time, money, location, relationship, everything. What are you becoming wealthy in right now? If it's just sales reports, there's more to life Keep crushing it. Again, follow me on Instagram at Unlock with Alex. Would love to connect. Would love to hear from you. Hit me up anytime and say, would love to grab a call because I would too. And I would love to talk to more salespeople in many different industries and just kind of keep learning, what is keeping people stuck. These conversations are super interesting for me. I love them. And I can't say I'm going to do this forever, but hit me up. Would love to chat. Until next time, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.